Thank you to everyone who is joining us today. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Over the next hour, we're going to discuss how to best utilize your digital communication during this crisis and beyond. As a reminder, this webinar is being recorded and all attendees have been muted. We encourage you to interact with our presenter today by using the Q&A feature. To access this feature, please hover your mouse over the bottom of your screen. You will see Q&A pop up and you can type your questions in there and we will do our best to answer them live. It is my pleasure to introduce our presenter today. His name is Shiro. Many of you may have interacted with him. He is one awesome dude. CJ is the Director of Development for the firm Little Green Development. After graduating from New Mexico State University in 2015 with a double bachelor's degree in marketing and finance, he worked for 2 years in the monument industry as a granite wholesaler at McCarthy Granite in Tracy, California. His firm manages and hosts a full portfolio of sites, including many in the monument industry, and maintains their advertising campaign through Google Ads, Facebook, and Instagram. His team's only goal is to help businesses grow digitally while still maintaining their thriving brick and mortar shops. CJ, go ahead and take it away.
Hey everybody, good to see you. Hope you're all staying safe and sheltered in place somewhere. Or if you've been deemed essential by your state, I hope I can deliver enough value today that it's worth the hour you're taking away from work to join us. We have a lot to talk about, a lot of really tangible stuff. I really want to be direct with a couple tools that are currently working for a couple of our past clients and current clients within their monument sites right now, and just how we're able to kind of take the craziness of this crisis plus having to still do work, because end of the day, whether you think it's a hoax or an apocalypse, no matter what side of the coin you fall on, all of this still has to function. We still got to make our businesses run. We still got to sell monuments, guys. And this is all. I'm going to lay out a bunch of things today that are going to enable you to be communicating with those people around you and hopefully picking up more sales that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to go after, or just were unaware of the potential of creating sales in that way. So the first thing that we're going to be talking about, and this was mentioned last week on the webinar with Cold Spring, Dante, and Garrett mentioned us. So we manage Brazimatos Monument Company, their website and chatbot. And so setting up all that, we have seen some really good things, and I'm going to kind of take you through that. Then with the schedulers, we're going to bounce over to Emerson Monuments in Arkansas that we worked on before. And she's had a really good use of an automated scheduler in which clients are able to either schedule time with her in person or by phone. We're seeing a lot more scheduling times by phone so that people can be more you're fitting into their schedule as opposed to the other way around. We're going to talk about forms. We're going to talk about numbers on a website and kind of the use case and why you need to be plastering them all over the place and different things. Then we're going to walk through your Google My Business listing and make sure that everything's up to date so that you can tell Google that either you are essential and you are open, or you are some hybrid variation of anything else. Because I know that a lot of our memorial builder small businesses out there, you guys are likely mom and pop shops or family run businesses that you could technically show up to work and have you and your wife or you and X amount of people with you that still falls within the same social distancing parameters from your state. Then from here, we're going to talk Facebook and we're going to talk Instagram. Instagram is one of those things that we're going to kind of have to take a sidestep for, we run a travel blog for my wife and I. It's called Little Green Adventure, that we're going to be walking through kind of how things work, but a little tricky, so you'll have to let me know. It's on our phone that we can show you the best analytics. They don't really have a desktop app for this, so it's going to be something we focus on there. Now, jumping in, let's talk about chatbots and let's talk about Tidio. So Tidio is a great little app so for reference, we were talking about the company Tidio.com, T-I-D-I-O is the app we're looking at. And what this enables is, and I'll kind of, get my screen and we'll pause the questions for now. So what this enables is you would supply a portion of code to your website designer, in which case Bobby supplied the code for me, his website designer. And what we've done is basically added that code so that this little chat bubble shows up on every possible page that anybody ever goes to within the MatosMonuments.com website. So if I were to jump over to the inspiration board, for instance, then as that loads and all of our pictures load for their inspiration board, you'll see our pop-up, but then you'll see this chat feature once again available. So what this means is that, so I'll pretend to be the user in this case. And so I'll click over here, and Bobby, for right now, I know you're on the call. I'll walk through the back end of this so that you don't have to for this particular instance. But so what we're looking at is, for you guys, the monument builders, you'll get this dashboard. And what this means is that you'll be able to see any conversations that are coming through. And then on top of that, you'll be able to see any possible visitors that are actively looking at the website right now. And we'll walk through each one of these features in a second. But for the visitors, the whole idea is that, okay, we want to maintain overall user experience, and there's no more frustrated user than somebody that has a question and can't get it answered. So what this chatbot allows you to do is have that live open stream communication that would in essence enable you to have the same conversation that you would otherwise have if somebody walked through the front door of your actual brick and mortar shop. So what we'll say here is me as the user would say, hey, I'm looking for a quote. And if I could spell, then this would look a lot prettier. So it's a beautiful piece of software because they automatically say, okay, what's your email so that you can have communication further on down the line. So I'm going to use a separate email so that we don't have any previous things. Let's see, I'll use. Okay, so introducing myself as cj@littlegreendevelopment.com. I then will automatically see a notification come through that somebody is actively looking with, or there's a conversation to be had. So now I, as the monument builder, can then show up to this and say, hi, yes, and start the conversation. The initial customer has entered the chat on their own, and now you can take it away from there. Where this is super powerful is if I were to get out of this website and potentially open a new incognito window and jump into MatosMonuments.com, I can then come to my visitors section of the Tidio app and begin to look for the user here that's actively running. And actually, let me get out of this one too, and we'll refresh and change pages. So you can actually go in and interrupt any visitor actually on your website's viewing cycle, and that could lead ultimately to another potential sale. So I'm gonna actively go over to the video gallery to make sure that I know exactly which user it is that I'm stepping into. And this should update here. And once we see the updated visitors, I can go actually make a predestined or extremely personal line item or email. And so I can see that I have the video gallery here. I've already started the chat earlier as me and Ryan were playing around with this before. But I can go in and interject myself directly into that chat for whichever visitor. So right now there's 9 different visitors, with 2 of them being me on the Matos website right now. But any one of these you would be able to say start chat with, and then that visitor that's actively looking at your website would be able to look and say, oh wow, Ryan Atwell from Brass and Metals Monument Company is interested in helping me with whatever I need right now. That's fantastic. How about I talk to him, since he's taking the time out of his day to talk to me? So that rule of reciprocity really starts to work. And you could effectively run through all of these chats and have them all active in your same window all the way down here, so that you can constantly be updating and updating and updating and updating. Now, what's also super cool about this software is you can then see, so here's the chat window. Now, I'm not gonna send this. And this is a little bit of a creepy part, but really powerful for you as the monument builder. Do you offer? And so I'm not gonna send this, but looking at this, I can see that cjshero@gmail.com has typed, not submitted, only typed, what colors do you offer? So now, as soon as they hit submit, I can already be predetermining and be lightning fast with all of my potential responses. So Tidio is super powerful. It's something that can be added to anybody on WordPress. It's a quick point and play, and would be able to correspond with just about everything. I'm not sure for Magento. Kevin, let me answer this live. So will Tidio work with Magento? I'm not positive. Check with your developer. Knowing that Magento is up there with potential integrations like WordPress is, it's likely that they do have an integration app, in which case it's just a short little code snippet that has to be put into the header portion of your website, and then you're off and running. It takes about 10 minutes to fully integrate with a WordPress site, for instance. Okay, other questions about Tidio. Can Tidio be used with customers with a chat app or without being logged into the website? The whole idea for Tidio is that they do have to introduce themselves with regard to starting the chat. So whether you initiate as the monument builder to them, or if they initiate, either way, they're going to have to type in an email to ultimately name themselves. That's just how the Tidio software works, in which case I'm not really opposed to it, because what I would think is that if somebody's not or afraid to share their email with me, then they're likely afraid to share their business with me. So yeah, likely that they both go hand in hand if we're looking for the same thing. So directly answering your question, can it be used without logging into the website or the app? You do have an app potential for the monument builder side so that you can view all of the chats available, but no, they would have to go to your website for Tidio and the chatbot to actually fully function there. Do I need to use their platform, or can I go directly to my email or text? I would say that the most robust features are definitely within the URL version of Tidio. So tidio.com is hands down the most robust. The app itself will have some sort of features that you can tinker with, but at the end of the day, the website actually it functions really beautifully, and I really hope you use it. Does this work with Wix? I'm sorry, once again, I only know WordPress, and therefore I potentially should have come a little bit more prepared for these questions. But Wix, I'm not sure. You'll have to check with Wix to get started there. So once again, check with Wix. I'm not positive. And then, so Nate asks, do you designate one person to answer chats if you have multiple salespeople at different locations sharing the same website? So Nate, to answer this, I would recommend definitely having one person almost as like your gatekeeper for the whole website, in which case you can have, if you have a larger company where there's multiple locations, it makes a lot of sense for that first gatekeeper to say, oh, what cemetery you're interested in, or where is the plot, so that you can kind of gauge who to send it to. But there's really simple and quick integrations with other people. For instance, I was running this chat earlier just to test things out and be able to show it to you. And Ryan jumped directly in without even conversating with me that I was testing it, and he jumped into the chat. So it's really easy to pick up and like collaborate within the chat feature. It's just a matter of figuring out exactly how your company would like to run with it. I can definitely see a huge option for somebody to actively be starting as many conversations as possible with people within this visitor section here, and then using those conversations to say, oh, they need to go to branch A versus branch B, for instance. Okay. With people shopping and looking at your hours, all hours of the day, yes. So Alex asks, basically, can you submit your hours? Yes, this is what's called a do not disturb feature within Tidio. And so for notifications, you can even have notifications in your phone to go off when a new visitor shows up. So like I was mentioning before with your gatekeeper, they can have a notification hit their computer every time there's a new person to the website, which is just technically speaking a new person coming through your digital storefront. So at the end of the day, why not try to talk to everybody? But down here at the bottom, you'll find do not disturb or your offline hours, in which case if I were to go to Brazamatos monument, or yeah, matosmonuments.com, when they were in after hours, it would show them as just not available, and I could leave a message, but otherwise starting the chat in the same way. Okay. My website host says for a chatbot to work on their sites, it must be compatible with headers and footers. Is Tidio compatible? Mark, yes, it is. So what'll happen is when you you'll walk through the Tidio process of just going to tidio.com, typing in or starting a user, and then from there, it'll ask you if you would like to submit your code to your own person, or if you'd like to see the code yourself. And basically, it's a piece of JavaScript that goes into the header portion of your website. Much in the same, it's the same box that you submit your Google Analytics code snippet to. Okay, so that is Tidio. Tidio's, from what I can see, super robust and a fantastic tool for you to be able to use, and it comes with its own suite of analytics, so you can really see how much people are using it, how many times a day your automated chat feature goes off, because as you use the software, the automated chatbot itself will fire that automated message for any new user coming to the website. Okay, got here a little late. No worries, Adam. Did you go over to see, but do you get to see the person's email address for future marketing? Yes, you do. So, so yes is the answer there. And I can show you that. So what basically happens is you'll open up the chat feature. Let me move these boxes out of the way. So this is the basic chat feature here, in which you can see my whole conversation with myself, and then subsequently Ryan jumped in, and now I'm typing on our other side over here. But this whole side window, and this is where the feature, or using the desktop, is really powerful, because you have, so you'll have this email show up for what they introduce themselves as. Potentially, if you've talked through them or talked with them and you've gotten a phone number, you can add it over here just as your CRM. But what's fantastic is that, so because this code snippet is at the top of your website for every single page, it listens, and I say listen as in just watching the website. It watches your website for exactly what this user is doing and where they go and how they function. So you can see that because I've been tinkering with the matosmonuments.com chatbot from the user's perspective a lot, you can see that me as a user has been to all of these different pages on the 8th, and then another 2 pages on the 9th, and now today I'm looking at it here, and I started the chat, which is what that green function is there. So I started the chat from the video gallery page. And so what this does is allows me, if I'm aware of what these URL snippets are at the end, then I can say, oh, you already went to the design board, you already saw the memorial inspiration, which we'll talk about that hybrid e-commerce model later on, as another point of potential tinkering your Rubik's Cube of your website for your business. But you can see all these websites, or all these sites that they've touched within your business, and get a better picture of how knowledgeable they are starting the conversation. So is there a cost to Tidio? To Kevin, is there a cost? Yes, there is, but only if you want a couple of these extra features. You don't have to spend anything on Tidio if you want to just maintain, I think it's a max of 3 users, so 3 potential people to log in and answer questions or whatever. And then if you only have the downgraded version of the free app, you won't be able to see the active visitors, and you won't be able to see the typing, like currently typing. This will not show up unless you pay. I think it's Tidio is $18 a month, and has extra users for $10 a month thereafter. So basically 4 users would be 28, 5 users 38, and so on and so forth. And that's all found within, if you go to tidio.com, they'll show you all of the potential options for upgrading, and that's easily seen here in the upgrade feature. So like I said, 4 users being 28, but so 3 operators, and this would come with those over, excuse me, these guys here. And so Browse Matos already has, we have 4 users for them. So they have their guys lined up there. Okay, any other questions about Tidio? Oh, sorry. Wayne Ratliff, is talk to text available? I believe that is a device specific function. So if you were to need to use talk to text, you would be able to use the Tidio app, for instance, to be able to enable the microphone on your phone to use that talk to text feature, much in the same way whatever mobile phone you have would be able to do that. Okay, any other questions on Tidio before we move on? Going once, going twice, awesome. Wayne, you're very welcome. Okay, so moving forward, let's talk about schedulers. So one scheduler that we really use, or we've seen really great use with often is with Allison Raymer at Emerson Monuments, and she does a great job of having this scheduler on the website for the user to be able to come in at multiple spots on the website to be able to select either a memorial design consultation by phone or in person. In which I've seen on the back end side of things that she's scheduling between 1 and 3 a week in some points. So she's really using the software well. This particular scheduler is an app that I found once again for WordPress. I believe that you can pay extra for a Wix scheduler, and then any other platform. I'm sorry, I'm not knowledgeable on it. I don't want to lead you the wrong way. But for appointments, this is the app that Emerson uses. And it's super simple to kind of walk through and schedule all of your different things. She actually has an appointment today, good for her. And you can walk through all of these different styles to be able to morph and change the scheduler to exactly how you like it. Now, what this basically does is allow anybody to say, okay, I'd like to schedule an appointment by phone, and then I can select the day that I'd like to schedule, and then the approximate time. And so all these times are listed within the app as basically the do not disturb times outside of this, but we have these potential options for a meeting via phone with Emerson Monument. So that's a scheduler. Now, as far as where that's posted, we tend to use that on, so 2 places, this Contact Us page, which has various buttons throughout, and we use the moniker of get started with the conversation is what Allison wanted to go with. And so using that to jump to the Contact Us is where the scheduler is held. And then there's also a schedule on the front page in which you can just scroll down and schedule. And that's in the same format as having this form next to you. So schedulers, once again, we're trying, adding a scheduler is simply just another avenue for somebody to be able to access you, basically. It's another form, much in the same way that you might read the same book when you're 20 versus 25. You're going to understand more of that book when you're 25, or potentially in a different way when you're 25. For gearing a website, we want to be able to speak whatever language or speak in the way, whatever way the customer wants to speak in. So making ourselves available for said customers is just changing the way that we are making ourselves available. So schedulers are pretty an old software, but nonetheless, they should be available on your website, in which there's a lot of schedulers have so much customization that really all you're doing is offering up as much transparency as possible to somebody that will otherwise go to your website, maybe read an article, and then potentially leave. We want to allow for as many avenues to your business as possible. So any quick questions about schedulers? I know that was kind of lightning fast, but I want to continue on here to get some a lot of value for you guys. Okay, I have these 2 questions up here for Alan. Okay, so these are all with regards to social media and social communication. We'll get to a little bit more social media, so this one up here. But for this other question, so in having a brick and mortar model business, how do we focus and distance social communication to balance our business and not drive people away from the actual visit to the physical showroom? So this is the question of the whole webinar. And Alan, thank you for asking it. I really appreciate your collaboration with this. As far as the way things are going now, where there might be various hopes and dreams for wanting to get back in a week or two. I really hope, I wish we could all get back to work in 2 weeks. That'd be amazing. I'm here to help you prepare for that not to be the case. People are fundamentally changing the way that they are accessing and using the internet more and more. For instance, I taught my 65-year-old and 70-year-old parents-in-law how to order from Amazon, and now they get half their groceries from Amazon because of the crisis. That fundamental change is shifting the way that they're doing any sort of business. So being able to have as many avenues, like I said, to your business, whether that's the Tidio chat app, whether that's scheduling time for you to personally call them, or a phone button, or just a simple form so that people can get all of their information and just communicate via email from there. That's all basically just another avenue, hooks in the water for your business. So to answer directly how this is going to, like, potentially you have to change your whole digital presence to be your online showroom. You have to update your pictures and really take amazing pictures as if somebody was actually in the showroom with you. And hopefully, if you can see that somebody has come to the website or somebody's on the chat, for instance, you can see where they've been. And if you have a diverse enough website to have each product on its own page, for instance, you can see that like exactly which potential old products or old design they were looking at to hopefully base their new monument off of. I would tell you that the monument industry in the crisis is not dead, it's just different. There's plenty of people at home with money and to-do lists that say, I need to buy grandma's headstone this week. And guess what? Now that they're all off work, it's time to start looking online for how I can buy a headstone during the crisis. So how can we be that digital storefront that they come to? That's what we're trying to answer. So what brand or scheduler do you recommend? I would say that most, once again, if you're working with something, I found great success with within WordPress using this Simply Schedule Appointments. It's a free app, and I'm all about free apps. But it was pretty intuitive, and all you had to do was tinker with a few settings. But as far as which brand, I love Simply Schedule Appointments. There's a bunch of other apps within WordPress, and I know that likely that whatever website builder you've decided to go with, if you've done it yourself, as far as like Square or Squarespace or Shopify or Wix, they all have one built in, I'm pretty sure. And it's just a matter of searching for scheduling integrations is what you're looking for. The scheduler is added to our website then from Paula. So the scheduler is added. So yes, the scheduler for a WordPress site, you would effectively go to your dashboard and you'd be looking for plugins. Please note that if you are not really adept with this whole tinkering with your website thing, do get in contact with whoever's built your website in the past, or if you need help, I'm here for extra resources. If you'd like, I'm happy to consult with anybody with regards to adding anything that I'm talking about here today. So feel free to shoot me an email in which I'll add my email to the chat, or I can have Rebecca, but it's just cj@littlegreendevelopment.com, and I'm happy to talk with anybody about updating potentially anything. But for WordPress, you need to come down here to your plugins, and then you would just simply go search for a scheduler plugin or whatever plugin you're looking for using the add new feature there. So, so Sarah Reed says, we have multiple locations. Is there a way to customize which location you schedule at. Yes, there is. That's just not a feature that we have embodied with Emerson, but there is multiple locations that you can schedule appointments at. And so that's just setting completely separate schedules within, for instance, and I need to let this go away so I can, there you go. So within here, I believe you should be able to adjust your appointment times or the potential settings so that, yeah, but there is a way that you would be able to have multiple locations or people to schedule set appointment at whatever location they would like to. So yes, there is. Okay. So moving forward, one thing, do make sure that your forms are up to date, and I would even stress that you hopefully could make forms as unique as possible. So for instance, on this flat marker design page here, and let me get a couple of these boxes out of the way so we can see some things. Too many boxes on this. So we are on just the flat markers page, or a blog page that we had created for Browse and Matos. And at the very bottom here, we have a unique contact form. And so this is a contact form that is just simply only pertaining to flat markers because they've been on the flat markers page. So why not continue to ask questions about the flat markers? So that's where I wanted to bring up the forms that you could see. So here's what type of marker are you interested? And so we can go into the actual marker. And so if people are filling out this form, for instance, then that comes all the way down the line to Bobby's lead salesman, Ryan, who says, oh, somebody submitted from flat markers. I should probably have a flat marker conversation with them with the potential upsell for whatever other monument. But we're definitely starting at the flat marker conversation. And it's likely that they can answer a couple of these other questions here. And if they answer things, you kind of get a sense of, oh, no, they're looking for flat markers for a flat marker section at Mount Olivet Cemetery, whatever the name of the cemetery is. But definitely make these forms as unique as possible, or stipulate to your web designer that you want unique forms for each individual page that makes sense for. For instance, we have about 6 different forms for Matos monuments, in which they have a main contact form, which is just general. But we also have a whole host of other contact forms that are specific to the exact way we want to talk to the people on that page, for instance. So there's our forms. And then the last thing that I'd like to show is just simply how this is something that should have been talked about, should have always been there, but you always want to have an immediate access to your number at least once in every what's called a viewport. So this whole box here that you can see the Browse and Matos Monuments website in, this whole box is the viewport. And that's basically anything that an average user could see within their window of viewing. Now, we have one that's constantly scrolling, and then occasional call to actions throughout, but the user is never without the button to call you. That's the biggest key I can tell you. Never let a user be without a button or a hook to be able to send you some sort of way to get a hold of you. So if you kept scrolling down, then you would come across a bunch more hooks for whatever form, or end all be all is the constant chat that's there as well. So let me jump back into the Q&A. Okay, we're still waiting on this one for Alan, so I can get to it with our Facebook and Instagram talks. But for right now, any questions about websites and general avenues on building your digital storefront? Okay, I will go ahead and keep going. And if you're still typing, great, I'll bounce back to it if I see it once it comes through. So next thing, do make sure Google My Business is absolutely key right now. Although people can't be really out of their houses and really can't be showing up to your place, we do want to have just another hook in the water for updates coming from your Google My Business. So you want to have all of this filled out with any potential updates, in which case going into the Google My Business setting here, for instance, we posted a new post for any of our visitors to see within that come within either the Maps app for Google, or if they're searching for Brazimatos, for instance, they'll be within the open graph, is what it's called, on the right-hand side of Google, which I can show you here. We'll just simply go to, or we'll search for Matos monuments. So that we definitely see this open graph on the right side. But basically you can see here that this is where all of your Google My Business listing will show up in this open graph on the right-hand side. And from there, you have all of the products. Hopefully you're using, I know that for some monument companies, sharing prices is a little bit more of a touchier subject. I highly recommend at least putting some sort of price range in there so that people aren't really sticker shocked when they come all the way to you. They've at least seen the $250 to $5,000 Riverstone, for instance, if they were really looking for something extravagant. Or this large upright, we built a really wide range between $2,500 and $6,000, for instance, so that people kind of get an idea of what they're looking at. Now, it's also where your your reviews will come in, and then this is where that new post that we shared 3 hours ago, this is where that will show up. So we take up literally the whole right side of Google as just call to action, call to action, call to action. And any of these other pages, so any of these photos were provided by us or potentially by users that posted about our company from there. But so go in, update your Google My Business listing. And if you haven't already grabbed your listing, definitely do that. You definitely need to call your brick and mortar shop into existence on Google, and this is how you do it. So we had the previous webinar back in November where I walked through setting up a couple basic things on Google, or excuse me, within the Google My Business window. Now, with this, I hope that you set up your things and you should be able to come in and view potential insights for how people are viewing you and other keywords that have potentially triggered your open graph that I just showed you from Matos Monuments. But make sure that everything is updated here. They do have this warning that Google's limited due to work from home basis for the COVID-19 stuff, but still update everything and they'll get to it as soon as they can. And you should have the post that I updated saw no delay in posting. So it was live almost the minute that I put it up. So within Google My Business, I want to once again mention that we do have that older webinar. I'm going to work with my builders to try to get that information out potentially for free in the same way that this is, but no promises as of yet. The only thing is that each one of these should be able to, so go to your homepage within Google My Business, and this should take you through each potential thing that you can fill out for them. So making sure that your listing is completely correct is absolutely the most valuable thing you can do today, for sure. any questions on Google My Business while we have it? Are there any web-based search engines that need updating other than Google? The good news is that Google is such a behemoth. Google maintains upwards of 70% as of late of total search traffic. So what that means is that, insider tip, Yahoo bases all of its rankings off of what they see on Google. Same with Bing. There's a couple ways they try to tinker with how their engine works and their algorithms work. But if you update your Google My Business listing, you can go in and update any Bing or Microsoft specific things. But if you're going to maintain the same listing on either Google or wherever, you're okay with getting away with just doing the Google listing. Like I said, a large majority of any of the searches are coming through that. Not to be neglected, those two other engines, but they will reference Google for the appropriate listing. Okay, any other questions there? If not, we will jump to social media from here. Okay, so jumping in. Social media. Your Facebook page is yet another place that you can be updating things. The question came through at the beginning of the chat asking, Alan would like us to discuss how much is too much when it comes to social media posting. I would say that, directly answering your question, I might argue that you couldn't post enough. But that doesn't mean to say that you shouldn't temper what you're saying exactly to the message you're trying to build within social media. But at the end of the day, I think that far too many people weigh themselves down with, oh, I should only be posting X amount of times, and really focusing on that, when I would just say that you should let your market decide how much is too much. So for posting directly to social media, it might be that 2 times a week works best for you, or 1 time a week works best for you. I would say that at least posting once a week to update things and keep the algorithm knowing that you're active on the platform makes a lot of sense. But overarching any of this is the idea that you need to maintain consistency. So if you're posting once a week, post every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. constantly. So every Thursday of the year, you're going to have a new post. And focusing on just the 1 post a week is already, to me, well enough work that you're doing amazing. But if you wanted to get more aggressive, I would say that posting a potential of once a day, depending on your market. If you have a flourishing Facebook page, such as like the Monument Builders Facebook page or the MBNA site, then definitely posting, like the Monument Builders post multiple times a day. It's all a matter of how the market is feeding the likes and shares. And you'll know if your posts are good by if the market picked them up or not, I would say. So what time of day should you post? Are there traffic times higher, say 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.? So Asus Art, is there time to post? Yes, you can view your current analytics. Let me see if I can get to it here. So you'll come to the Insights portion on your Facebook page. And within the Insights portion, you'll be able to see all of your previous posts. And I'm actively viewing the Braz and Matos Facebook page for reference to direct monument builder things. And now Braz and Matos isn't exactly super active on their Facebook page, but they've picked up their game in the last couple of weeks, especially with the coronavirus things happening. So this is where you'll be able to see kind of what's happening, what sort of reach you had over your last couple of posts, your general engagement, and then from here you'll be able to derive any and all answers that you're hoping to get for what you should be posting, when you should be posting. It's all market specific. So I don't really have a direct answer for is there a specific time. It's all depending on who you're talking to, and Facebook will tell you when your posts are most likely available or being seen. John Reese asks, how do you suggest responding to the occasional hate posts accusing you of being insensitive? It's easy enough to handle the posts and ban the user. Is that enough? So I would say with any sort of hate posts that come across your Facebook feed, I would tell you that sadly enough, that is exactly what Facebook was invented for. There's been many a Facebook video with the creators, early creators, in the numbers 1 through 5 employees of Facebook, in which they built the algorithm around what polarizes people. So to that, saying that polarizing topics get shown more and therefore commented more, and more hate is stirred up between polarizing topics. So you as the business owner, what can you do? I would say that you basically have one of two options. You can take exactly like you said, John, in the idea that you can just simply ignore, in which case deleting the post, or having a post within the top portion of your page that simply says any and all, like, we're here to help each other thrive and survive. So any and all hate on this platform will be deleted per the discretion of the admin, for instance. And having that transparency is really good. But end of the day, you're going to you could make a name for yourself, and here's option 2. And you could make a name and just, what I like to call, kill them with kindness. And that, did something we do offend you? I would love to change that. How can I make your day better? And you reaching out as the specific person of, I actually own this company. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I'm so sorry that we did not meet your expectations. In which we all know that customers' expectations can rise and fall like a roller coaster at times. But at the end of the day, you can always control your own emotion. And therefore, you coming from a centered place and saying, oh, I'm very sorry. Can I help you do something? Or is this just simply you wanting to hate on whatever? And if it's the latter, then definitely cut them off, because there's no time for that. But if there is a problem, killing them with kindness and being able to be aware of what the issue is your strength as the business owner. Okay, Asus Art asks, is Buffer a good auto posting to post your highest peak times to get your page reach as high as possible? Yes, using Buffer, or another app I have used in the past is called Later. Both of them are very good for automating posts. The trick that I would mention to you is that you should also tailor your automated post with a notification that goes off on your phone to go engage, because there's nothing worse than posting a new post and having a bunch of people engage on it for you not to be at work. So at the end of the day, you want to be able to have, at least, we always designate, anytime my wife posts for our social media for Little Green Adventure, for instance, she always makes sure to have an hour to be able to field comments and questions, because the first 15 minutes is your window of opportunity for the overall post. So you have 15 minutes of your highest algorithm time of people seeing your new posts in every new thing. And then after that, it kind of becomes old news, and you'll see your numbers taper off way after 15 minutes. But if you're there to co-collaborate with whoever decides to collaborate on your post, then you can keep the conversation going and drag that 15 minutes into an hour or 2 hours, depending on how long people want to stick around. John, I'm happy you liked it. Thank you. Okay, Alan, on the subject of bad review posts, what's the suggestion for bad reviews for service posted on your social media? Okay, that's another great question. Once again, my overall #1 goal is to kill them with kindness, and because there's nothing better than somebody where you're going to know if their claim was either ridiculous or not. You're going to know if, for instance, you've always seen the posts of people claiming and trying to just slander a business as opposed to actually receiving poor service and actually having a valid claim. We've all seen those different various reviews. One thing is within Google My Business, for instance, you can reply directly to those reviews coming to Reviews tab. And I actually highly recommend for you to reply to every review, whether it's a thank you or whether it's something else. Now, so you could come in and reply, like for instance, Braza Matos went in and said, "You guys are a pleasure to work with. Thank you for your business." And so people see, like, so they made a stellar review. Braza Matos knocked it out of the park, and Bobby came in and said, "Hey, thanks." And that's amazing. Now, if this were a not so stellar review, you showing the humility in your business that, hey, you know, you could be wrong. Potentially somewhere somebody messed up. Okay, I'm really sorry about that. How can I fix this situation? And coming at it from the how can I fix the situation or how can we reconcile your differences side of things, as opposed to, no, I'm not wrong, you're wrong. That doesn't help anybody. All you can do is be the best person for you, and you showing up in the best possible light for your business is just, oh man, shoot, we really messed up. I'm really sorry. Can I offer you a $50 gift card for a vase to add on top of that monument? Or can we remake the porcelain? And you showing that reciprocity for even when you messed up, you can come to the table and slap it down and say, you know what, we messed up before, but we're going to come back 110%. That's going to be the best case scenario for you. And really, overall, social media is about people. People want to talk to people. People don't want to talk to chatbots. People don't want to talk to a form submission. People want to talk to people. What do a form and a chatbot and a phone number enable? Somebody to talk to a person. That's all they want to do. So show up in your best possible person skin and say, I'm here, how can I help? And I promise you'll start winning, especially on social media. Okay, Alan, how should we keep these reviews visual for all visitors to read? Absolutely. And if you come to the table either bearing your soul saying, we messed up, how can we help? Or if you need to put your foot down, I highly recommend doing that in the most respectful way possible. So, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith, I know that you claim this, but here is the reason why your claim might be false. Either way, you still feel wronged. I'd love to help in any other way. That's where I would leave it to them, to make them come back, throw the positivity ball into their corner and see what comes back at you, because it's their fault if they take your positivity and spin it back into hate. And that's when you should delete the comment. Okay, last one from Alan is, what is the best way to guide your customers to leave reviews or service for your website? Facebook, social media, you seem to have to push people to leave reviews. Any suggestions? As far as these suggestions go, I would say that your reviews on Google are by far the most powerful. So a review to a website can be tailored to whoever. I can go invent, and as the digital designer, invent many review to put on whatever website. where you're going to find the most power is where, for instance, you're asking people to go directly to their or to your Google listing and put a review on there. And deliberately asking for it is by far the best way to get it. Ask and you shall receive. But at the end of the day, Google, these reviews here are going to drive the constant grade of your business and more people come to your website, for instance. The better the reviews are within your Google My Business listing, the more times your Google My Business listing is going to be shown to people. And now we have this cycle of spinning up. So you should ask for them, and Facebook is a great place to do it as well. People are looking for the marketplace, just not as much as with Google. And especially within this industry, it's a lot more of a closed door topic because we're dealing with a very sensitive situation. In which case, not too many far less people are searching for how do I buy a headstone on Facebook than they are on Google, for instance. So knowing that we want to find those people looking for how to buy a headstone, asking people to use potentially even specific language and saying, hey, can you do us a favor? And like, I know you found us through Google. Can you go give us a Google review as to how easy it was to find us on there? Just as simple as that could lead to, oh yeah, it was really great to find, or easy to find, Brazamatos in the Bay Area on Google. They have 5-star reviews, and then we said yes. That's where you leave it. So there we are there. Facebook, Instagram. Instagram is a little tricky, I'll tell you that. And that's only because I only have I have to use my phone to give you the analytics, because the Instagram app itself within Instagram.com is a little lacking. So what you'll want to do is within your app there, what you want to click on is this hamburger is what it's called in the top right corner, and that'll bring up this whole panel here. And if you've submitted your company as a business profile or a creator profile, for instance, then you should be able to see the second one down, which it's called Insights. And I'll actually exit my screen share here to show you that. So the Insights will be able to show you any kind of pages that are available. What's great is Instagram will show you those audience insights that you were looking for. So when's the best time to post, what sort of age range or sex people are using, like what male or female that they're are using your Instagram or interacting with your posts. For instance, this shows us that it's best to post about leisure and travel on Sundays, Saturdays, or Sundays, for instance. These are all be numbers that you can derive yourself, in which case just watching those numbers come about is something that's kind of you have to put something out in the water to see how good the bait is. Each individual market that you coincide within, the Chamber of Commerce, the city area, regional area, for instance, they're each going to be different and could potentially be a different way to speak to a different person. Tailoring your posts to that crowd or that community makes the most sense. And if you're having trouble coming up with potential ideas of where to start, for instance, I highly recommend thinking about any of your potential affiliations first and seeing what they're doing. So I know that a lot of you end up doing civic memorials, for instance, in which case it could turn into a full blog page, posts about Facebook, posts on Instagram of any city project that you've done. And then ultimately you collaborate with their social media guy within the Chamber of Commerce, for instance, because they were a part of the event, and you say, oh yeah, we'd love to do a post together, or we'd love to have your feedback on our blog about how great the monument was. And now you're telling a story, which is what you guys do on a daily basis anyways. We're just doing it in this fancy new 2020 way that's hindered by our virus and makes us use our thumbs way too much. But at the end of the day, it's all about communication. It's all about trying to show up in your best human skin and throwing it to whoever is willing to listen, and throwing it in as many different ways for as many different people. The last thing I want to show you is the last little piece of user experience that we've recently developed. And within that, it is what I call our hybrid e-commerce model. So this is where I was speaking of having individual pages for any one of your previous designs. So for Emerson Monument, for instance, we have a hybrid e-commerce model for our shop online feature. And when this loads, you'll be able to see basically any one of Allison's previously made designs here. And how this is powerful is you can add any one of these particular designs to a memorial design board. And so this allows people to save your past work for later, and then they can collaborate with you as they build this board. So I have selected a random group of products, and I say products, but previous designs from Allison. And you can see that this is IP specific. So you can see that each one of these designs was added at a various time in the past, from when we started building her website, for instance. And now that I have all of these conglomerated into one list, so basically I've taken your design catalog, I've chopped it all up into the ones that I like as the user, and now I can send this via email to whoever I like just by clicking this little email button, or share it to Facebook or any of the social medias. But then I can then take my URL and share that with whoever I need to collaborate with on the specific board. And what's great is that Allison can go in and say, oh, CJ, I see that you're on the website, and particularly within potentially like a Tidio app, for instance, you'd be able to say, oh, I see that you're on the memorial design board. Oh, how great. Did you already, like, after you've already set the appointment or whatever, could you go ahead and scroll down to the bottom and click an email link and send me that link to your board so that we can know what our design meeting is going to be about? And now you've taken that memorial design meeting from 2 hours to just the last hour or potentially 45 minutes, that the first hour was them deciding what they want. They can do all of that at home because you get to display all of these beautiful pictures of anything you've worked on in the past. And because of that, now you save a lot more time, and you can you can have those quick little meetings where boom, we have a sale, boom, we have a sale. They already know what they want, they have a sale. And I mean, it even tailors the conversation further if you understand that, oh, well, it seems as though, oh, we have two of our angels here. I bet we can upsell an angel. Or they picked up the Kogan design. So obviously they might be looking for something really fantastic. So we need to gear the conversation all the way up the ladder to something super custom. Whereas if all I had were a couple markers or only markers in here, then obviously we're going to temper our expectations down to the actual sale. And because we've allowed people to communicate with our business in this way, we can then ramp up from there. So everything involved, what plugin is the border list? So if you're using, we built this out through WooCommerce within WordPress, and it's called the TI wish list. That's what it's called. So it's a wish list feature that you're trying to achieve. We've recalibrated that, called it the design board. because obviously you don't want to wish a monument on anybody, but you do want to still enable them to collaborate with you in this chopped up cool way. So I am available if you guys would like to ask any further questions. I want to double check that we're not running over too much time, but I am available to answer any and all questions that come through. Are there programs that let you post to multiple Facebook media platforms with one post picked? Facebook, Instagram, Facebook, personal page, buffer, to streamline the posting process all at one time, so each of those don't have to be visited to consume so much time. Yes, I believe that buffer would be able to allow you to post. I think you would have to create individual posts per platform, but you can more or less use the same media across and live within the buffer platform as opposed to having to go out to Facebook, Instagram. But once again, we do want to strive and drive home that we are humans making these posts. The biggest fail that I see in social media is when people do their best, and I saw this throughout. My use case for this is life insurance. They had to be really particular about what they could post and only could use an automated software. Those posts went nowhere. Nobody ever found them. Nobody ever looked at them because they were automated posts generated by a computer for no specific reason, as opposed to you potentially coming on, telling a specific story, being available as the social media manager, and going from there. So to directly answer your question, Buffer would be one of the two that I mentioned earlier. So Buffer or Later is the other app that would allow you to post to multiple platforms at the same time, or schedule them to your needs. Yes, I'll go ahead and type my answer here. So it's cj@littlegreendevelopment.com. And if you wanted to go see any of our other past work or other monument sites that we built, littlegreendevelopment.com will have our full portfolio of any and all websites there that are monument based. We've done about 15 different monument sites since our inception in 2018. So we are uniquely qualified, I should say. Besides that, any other questions? I do want to deliver as much value as possible once again, but I know that time might be of the essence. Okay, well, once again, cj@littlegreendevelopment.com, and I'd love to talk with you guys about any and all things moving forward and consult with you even on the smallest of topics. To Kevin, what's my average cost to do a website? Right now, we are building completely custom websites like the one that you see for Emerson here, starting at $3,000. So you get me in your back pocket, and you'll be able to, for instance, I was on the phone with Allison today making quick edits, and off we go. But you'll have top to bottom everything that I've shown through this webinar and that's my $3,000 price tag to start with. In which case, if you'd like to inquire further about that, please feel free to email me and we can go from there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Cool. Okay.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap up here. If anybody has any other questions, we are going to be sending the webinar recording and CJ's contact information in an email tomorrow morning. So everybody will receive his contact information. We highly encourage you to reach out to him. He is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful asset to use. And we are very thankful that he had the time today to present to us. All right. Well, with that, we hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will go ahead and end the webinar now.
Bye, guys.